So today I'm going to be talking about, for men, like the reasons why your dating life is rubbish, right? And here's what it's not going to be. It's not going to be dating apps, me blaming dating apps. It's not going to be me blaming women and saying there's no good women in the world and that women need to change and their standards are too high and all these sorts of things. It's not that, right? So if that's what you want to hear, because that makes you feel better about yourself and it means that you can just stay where you are and not do anything to change, then you probably want to change this video, because I'm going to give you some stuff that you can actually do to change your dating life and make it better. Right. So we've got the right people still sitting with us. These are 4 things, right? And you need to listen through to the end. And don't assume that you're doing these perfectly. You need to look at yourself closely, right? How you can show up better. So the first thing I see this in men all the time: low agency versus high agency. Agency, and I take this from a podcast I listened to, Modern Wisdom. Agency is incredibly important in dating, right? Because when you have low agency, you feel like you can't influence the outcomes in your life, right? So in dating, it would be that like, oh, there's no women to meet. There's no good women anywhere. Like you can't approach women anywhere. You know, there's only way you can meet people is dating apps, and dating apps are all rigged against you. Like it's this idea that you have no influence, you have no power. Like it's a powerlessness, right? Whereas high agency people, they pay attention to their power to influence life and dating, right? Both to create success and to create failure, right? This can look like waiting for the woman to lead or to make a move or to tell you that she's interested before you take action. This can look like needing validation and reassurance constantly from someone you're dating that they want to see you again, they want to see you tomorrow, right? It's also blaming things like timing, dating apps, and modern dating is cooked, rubbish, useless, right? This is low agency activity. High agency people, they're like, how can I make my dating life great? How can I meet new women? And they're in the world making it happen, right? They're meeting people in random places like airports and on planes because they're in life, making life happen, open to life occurring, open to life flowing in the direction they want. They're not spending all their time, their attention on why it's not going to work and why things aren't working the way they want. I'm very passionate about this one because I think it's like the undercurrent of dating is around low agency. Like, you know, I just hear so much from people of like, oh, I can't do that. That doesn't work. No one does that anymore. You're not allowed to do that anymore. I'll be arrested for harassment. And it's all just BS, right? It's just this fear masquerading as certainty about how the world is. High agency people, the men that make life happen, the men that look wealthy, that look successful, they are generally 99% of them high agency people. They're making things happen in all the odd and strange ways. They have the stories of where they met a beautiful woman and they ended up going on a date for 2 days and they met her outside Starbucks and they accidentally bumped into them and they apologized and then they bought them a drink to say sorry. Low agency man bumps into a woman outside Starbucks and like gets angry because he feels like she shouldn't have bumped into him and just walks off, right? This is the difference. It's like how we make life happen. I can tell you so many stories about my own high agency. Like even the way that I met Orsa, you know, she came on my podcast. We talked a little bit. Like I could be low agency and be like, oh, well, that's not appropriate to try and continue a conversation. So I'm shutting that down. Oh my God, there's no women. You can't meet women anywhere, right? But instead I just kept the conversation going and see how it was, right? The times I've traveled and been around the world and just like meeting women on buses, on planes, at airports, right? To get to know, you know, I have friends who, you know, I've met in the weird and wonderful places. I can think of a friend of mine, I think it's high agency, and I can use an example. He emailed me when the podcast was in its infancy, it's probably the first kind of 10, 15 episodes. And he just went, hey man, really enjoying listening to your podcast. Like it's really helped me with this breakup I'm going through. And it's really helped me see that I'm not the only man in the world having these sorts of conversations. He was like, hey man, let's get a beer sometime. We're good friends now, 5, 6 years later. Yeah. High agency human being. So where are you not making it happen for yourself? This is a good question. Where are you not making it happen for yourself? Where are you just assuming that it's stacked against you? Second thing, right? This is a continuation of high agency, but it's like life happening to you versus you happening to life, right? So like life is happening to you. You kind of surrender your leadership and your power to chance, right? And you don't believe that you can make things happen, right? So you allow other people to shape your social circle, how you feel about yourself, the things habits you take and so forth, because life is happening to you and you don't have power over it. Whereas are you happening to life, right? It's when you write things off as like bad luck, or you are often like believing that you're doomed to heartbreak, right? Or you're always waiting for her to give you some sign. I know it's similar to what I said before, right? It's like, oh, I am, for instance, you might be like, oh, I'm uncomfortable with intimacy and that's the way it is. Life happening to you versus you happening to life. Or it might be none of my dates ever go well. Life happening to you versus you happening to life. You know, it's like really shifting this mindset, right, of negativity and assumption of this kind of like world is against you type of attitude, right? It's about being intentional and being responsive to life instead of being reactive to life. Because, you know, if you are finding yourself scared of intimacy, afraid of abandonment, that can change, but it changes with your conscious effort and choice, not through other people changing. Yeah. If you have fears about rejection or approach anxiety, that won't change by women being easier to talk to, or, you know, you going to dating events where it doesn't exist so much. What changes is when you do the work to face your fear and realizing that on the other side is power and confidence. Third thing, looking for problems versus solving problems, right? I see so many people looking for problems when I give them suggestions about how they can live their dating life or their relationships, and they give me all the reasons why it's not going to work. And it's fascinating because it's like looking for problems instead of looking for solutions, right? When we look for problems, we find more problems, right? We double down on problems. You know, it connects to like overanalyzing, doubting, low self-esteem as well, looking for problems, or more than anything, looking for reasons not to take action, right? How this kind of shows up in dating. Prime example, I do this and I've done this a lot in my past. Looking for small imperfections in your partner or the person you're dating to justify not dating them or ending the relationship. It can look like having worst case scenario thinking, assuming worst case scenario thinking, like, oh, my partner's not text me back. The person I'm dating or the person I've started talking to hasn't text me back. Oh, they're not going to get back to me. They're going to ghost me, blah, blah, blah. And I'll give you a really real example where this keeps coming up. I speak to guys and they're on dating apps and they are messaging back and forth for a woman. It could be over, one or two messages, and they take a few hours or a day to respond to the message, and she unmatches them before they can respond. This is looking for problems versus solving problems. She's probably, and I say she just because in this instance it has been men, but I know it's been women doing it, but I know men are doing this too. She's looking for a problem. Oh, he's not going to get back to me. He's not going to reply to me. He's going to ghost me, like blah, 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 blah. And to rid themselves of that feeling, they unmatch, because then they don't have to deal with being with the problem or being with a solution for the problem. Then the solution is just waiting. It's a reactivity, right? And I see this a lot with people on dating apps. We're looking for reasons not to date people. There's something wrong with their nose. They said they like this thing and I don't like that thing. Looking for problems instead of looking for the positives or looking for solutions. This destroys relationships when we are problem lookers. I definitely fall into this category and have to work on not being this way. I blame my career in software testing, where it's my job to find the problems. This gets in the way of you actually finding the love you want. And usually what's underneath it, this looking for problems, is fear of not being good enough, of fear of being abandoned, of fear of rejection, right? And the way to avoid that is to find problems, because problems buffer us from having to face our fears, because they keep us stuck. They keep us staying where we are, because it's like, there's no point doing anything because there's this problem in front of me and I can't do anything about it because I'm a low agency person. And no one wants to be low agency, but you might start hearing yourself as low agency. The fourth and final one, right, is overthinking versus action and outcome focus. This looks like people who are just like always overthinking, analysis paralysis, like they might call it strategy, but it's just like always trying to predict, control, assume. It's this mind that will think about, oh, I might suggest to you listening to this, like, oh, maybe you need to go out today and maybe start being more social, start smiling at people in the street or talking to people in shops. You'll be like, oh no, today's not a good day because it looks like it's going to rain. And actually, I've heard that if you do that, like that doesn't create the outcomes you want. Like, there's this other things we do, but we can't do that today. We need to do that other thing. And you start to project this story of how things are going to go. Oh, if I talk to people, they're not going to pay attention to me. That's not going to be useful. That's just going to make me feel worse. And then if I feel worse and I'm not going to do this anymore, I want to stop dating, right? But you don't know. What you've done is you've done lots of overthinking and then brought some problems in as well. Instead of thinking about action and outcome and the possibility of that. If I take some action, I could lead to some really good outcomes. Let me try that. Yeah. It can look like in dating really is like always waiting for the right moment for something to happen instead of taking action. Yeah. It could be obsessing over text messages, right? And what someone's saying instead of being, bold and be like, hey, I'd love to take you on a date. It's this wanting to create certainty in the future before taking action now. And the thing is, confidence is built in action, and especially when the action leads in an uncertain world, right? And this is the thing, it's creating a certainty. So these are the 4 points, right? High agency, low agency, life happening to you versus you happening to life, problem solving versus looking for problems, and overthinking versus action focused, right? These are really vital things for men, especially men in dating, right? I just see more and more in dating is people think it's a outward problem and it's an inward problem. Yeah, it's an inward problem of how they're showing up, how they're behaving, how they're communicating, the sort of level of action they're taking, the resilience they have, the groundedness they have, their emotional capacity to deal with difficulty and bounce back. That's what I see as the biggest problems in dating. And to kind of help people with that, I've created the Men's Dating Accelerator, which is a program that I ran last year, and I've turned it into a little standalone product for £47, which is an incredible bargain because when I ran it live, it was, it was £300, sorry, £300 it was. So in there you get 4 modules. One's about getting you out, being more social, right? One of them is about helping you get through some of these beliefs, like dissolve some of these personal beliefs you have about yourself, not good enough, abandonment, and so forth, and start to reinstall a new belief, which is the really powerful thing you need to do to change your energy in the moment, right? And then the third piece is about self-expression, emotional range, and kind of bringing yourself, right? Even when there's difficult moments, even facing the fear of expressing yourself openly and honestly and taking action, that might be approaching someone, might be talking to someone, right? It might be saying the thing you want to say on your dating profile, the fear of judgment. It's like all about that. And then the 4th module really is about leadership of self in dating and making things happen, getting into high agency states so that you're making your dating life happen instead of it happening to you. Yeah. You're not believing the narrative outside of you. So if this is something you want, there's a link just down below in the show notes that you can click on. Like I said, £47 is like cheaper than a date, isn't it? And you will learn so much, right, out of this, and it will get you into action. That's the key thing, getting you into action, because action's a thing you're missing. So until next week, people, ciao, ciao.